In my 3rd year as Leo's secretary, he got engaged. His fiancée demanded that he fire all his close female staff. My name was on the dismissal list. As compensation, he set me up on a blind date with his brother. He's richer than me, well endowed, and great in bed. He just has a kid. If you don't mind, why not meet him? I didn't mind. After all, that kid was mine. Chapter 1. I had a thing with Ethan once. Leo didn't know. Otherwise, he wouldn't treat me like a servant without a soul. I was 22 when Ethan and I met. Fresh out of college, clumsy, naive. I mistook Ethan, who was doing a grassroots inspection, for a fellow job hunter who had just failed an interview. Like me, he looked pretty rough that day, wearing a suit, covered in dust and sweat, sitting by the roadside, eating from a lunchbox. A huge stack of documents lay beside him. He looked completely defeated. I had just been rejected from a job and was drowning in emotion, so I bought 2 boxes of braised pork with double meat and handed him one. Here, eat this, I said. Yours is all vegetables, not enough to fill you up. His box was filled with wilted greens and dry meat shreds. I sat 3 feet away, heart aching, imagining how miserable I'd be if I couldn't find a job either. Would I end up sitting on the street, hoping someone would pity me with a meal? I was so caught up in my own little tragedy that I didn't notice the look on Ethan's face, shocked, amused, intrigued. Over that meal, we chatted briefly, exchanged names. It was the wrong beginning. I assumed he came from a humble background like me, and Ethan was more than happy to play the role. After that, I ran into him constantly. Every time felt like fate. By the time he confessed his feelings, I truly believed it was destiny. Until one day, life turned into a cliché straight out of a melodramatic romance novel. I was shopping in a luxury mall, picking out mid-autumn gifts for a big client, and there he was, Ethan, casually throwing money around, one hand in his pocket, back slightly hunched in a lazy manner, foot tapping impatiently as he gave suggestions to a girl. When she finally settled on a bag, he let out a relieved sigh and waved for the bill. Just the night before, he had been in my shabby apartment, begging me to massage his head, complaining about his boss and the pressure at work. I thought long and hard. Should I keep pretending to be in love? Or confront him and ask for compensation? I picked the worst option of all. I exposed him, but didn't ask for anything. He wasn't surprised. He calmly admitted everything. Then he said, "Want to see my place?" His real place, a mansion so big, I'd have to start earning from the Qin dynasty to afford it. In his study, I saw piles of project documents. Turns out, this prince wasn't just rich, he was responsible, too. He had been at the port overseeing a major family investment. There had been issues. In the middle of summer, he had rushed to the site with engineers and blueprints in hand, investigated the faults, revised the plan, allocated resources. The record keeper wrote down pages of meeting minutes. No one expected the heir himself to show up at a construction site, so no one had prepared lunch. When it was time to eat, Ethan sat on the curb with the files, reviewing data while waiting for updates from his team. That's when I walked into his life, and I laughed at myself later, how blind I had been. Didn't even recognize the luxury watch on his wrist, or the custom-tailored suit he wore. He asked me if we really had to break up. He said, "Love is all the same. In the end, it's about mutual gain." I was 24, too young. So young I believed love should have no dirt in it. "It's not the same," I said. I didn't cry, didn't say goodbye. I got in the car and left, as calmly as if I'd just been laid off. But life didn't go as I planned. Just a month later, I realized how important money really was, because my period never came. I was pregnant. At the same time, the company laid off a huge number of employees, including pregnant women. The boss made it clear they'd pay whatever compensation was necessary, but those on maternity leave should just go home and raise their kids. From now on, no more hiring women who might get pregnant. So before my belly showed, I rushed to pledge loyalty to my boss, promised it wouldn't affect the project, then casually asked for 3 days off to get an abortion. The boss was pleased and praised me as a model employee. Looking in the mirror, I didn't feel human, more like livestock. My coworkers talked behind my back. I had nothing to say. I scheduled the abortion and headed to the hospital. Ethan's bodyguards intercepted me by car. Ethan was abroad. That night, he flew 6 hours straight back to the city. He wanted me to keep the child. The deal he offered was generous. I agreed, to avoid developing feelings. I didn't even look at the baby girl when she was born. Ethan took her and named her Sophia. I think he truly liked her, so I figured there was no need for me to care anymore. I left Beijing and moved south. Chapter 2. Turns out, I still couldn't escape his family. Ethan's younger brother, Leo, was in charge of the company's southern branch. I had been sending out resumes to every company I could think of. I didn't even realize I had applied for the position of Leo's secretary. The interview process was smooth. No hiccups. Before I knew it, I'd become Leo's executive assistant. I managed his daily schedule, sometimes fetched coffee or brought him tea. When the chief secretary was away, I'd even handle key clients. Most of the time, I didn't have to travel with him. Overall, the tasks were scattered but not too exhausting. The salary was excellent. With the money Ethan had given me, I'd already bought an apartment, and this job could have given me a stable life. Until Leo's fiancée messed it all up. Amelia? Amelia? Leo tapped the desk. Takes you that long to think about it? Don't like the guy? He smiled, but there was displeasure in his tone. I calmly organized his schedule and slid the planner to him. You have a meeting from 11 to 11:30. Lunch with President Lee at noon. He just had some good news. So I've prepared a gift for you to bring. From 2 to 4, there's a golf session. But President Jean also invited you horseback riding. The times clash, you'll have to choose one. At 5, you're touring the RD Center with a client, discussing the contract. Dinners booked at the Hillside Manor. Cantonese cuisine. Menu finalized. It's now 10:43. President Lee mentioned that a few other execs want to speak with you beforehand. You can meet with them now. I paused briefly, then added, as for the matchmaking with your brother, I'll pass. Leo leaned back in his chair. He tapped his foot, spinning lazily, stared at me for a while, as if deep in thought. TCH. He gave a half smile. Amelia, are you hiding something from me? I said, I know your brother. Saying we dated would be too much. No one in his family or mine ever knew, so I wouldn't call it a relationship. Oh, you know him? He nodded slightly, then his foot suddenly froze mid-tap. He squinted at me, inhaled, and said firmly, No, you were with my brother, weren't you? Even though I was used to the condescension of men in power. That word, with, still stung. I answered, yes. He stood up quickly, grinning, and guided me to the couch, poured me a cup of tea, extra friendly. Come on, sit. Tell me, do you know who the mother of his daughter is? We've all been trying to figure it out. My brother hates kids. If he kept that one, he must have really liked the woman. You've been with him, spill it. Who did he love most? Who was it? Was it the girl he was willing to go shopping with? Or was she just another woman in his life? I pressed my lips together. I don't know who he loved most, but it wasn't me. Leo laughed aloud. Sounds like someone's still salty, but my brother's not stingy. Maybe not with others, but when we were together, we lived in a rented apartment. Leo froze, staring at me like he'd just heard the wildest thing. Where did you live? He repeated himself. In a rented place? He let you live in a rental? I gave a quiet smile. Not exactly. I rented it myself. He didn't live with me. Damn, he didn't even help with rent? That's low. Leo smoothed his jacket and began pacing, sneaking glances at me now and then. Didn't think you were the sentimental type. Amelia. With your looks, he could have at least given you a condo. Why didn't you just leave him? He was appraising me. In the past, I might have cussed him out for that. But I kept my expression calm, lowered my stance. I was young and foolish. Then I joked lightly. Since I gave so much, how about adding a little extra to my severance pay? There was a knock on the door. Someone poked their head in. Boss. The meeting's about to start. Leo nodded, adjusted his suit. I quickly stepped forward and held the door for him. He picked up his folder and walked past me. You're not getting laid off. Get back to work. Chapter 3. What a pity. I was hoping to squeeze out a bit more severance. Now I'd have to resign on my own. Leo's fiancée had recently become quite the celebrity around the office. Word had it she was the granddaughter of some powerful figure in Beijing, with wealthy parents to match. With a background like that, of course, her temper was no less impressive. After their engagement, she demanded Leo fire all his close female subordinates. Leo had 2 chief assistants, 1 male, 1 female, his right and left hands. The female chief was highly competent, and Leo managed to keep her. But those of us beneath them, executive assistants like me, and even the personal life aides, weren't so lucky. Even if I wasn't fired, staying would have been asking for trouble. It'd only be a matter of time before Madame suspected something. I returned to the office, just in time to bump into colleagues from other departments, dropping off documents for approval. Seeing me, they all gave me sympathetic looks. Amelia, let's grab dinner when you leave. Yeah. I pulled out my chair and slumped over the desk. Earliest is next month. Still need to go through the formal process. Process? You don't need that if you're being let go, right? I'm resigning, I said. Boss doesn't plan to fire me. Anyone got a resignation letter template? Thank you for the opportunity. Due to personal reasons, I have decided to resign. I hit send, pushed away the keyboard and took a deep breath. Then Leo's words echoed in my mind. He must have really loved that woman if he decided to keep her child. I still don't know what Ethan really felt about me. When I was working in Beijing, the apartment I rented was in one of those starter complexes full of young migrants. Everything was available nearby, but it was chaotic, filled with all kinds of people. That's where I experienced a lot of firsts. First time being followed. Then, first time someone tried to break into my home. That night, I was sleeping lightly. A buzz from my phone jolted me awake. The peephole camera system was sending an alert. A suspicious person had been lingering at my door. On the screen, a man was wearing a mask, hat, and gloves. His face was obscured, and his build was hidden by oversized work clothes. He picked the lock quickly and expertly. Every now and then, he turned and whispered something to a partner behind him. I stood frozen in the living room for a few seconds, then instinctively ran to the kitchen to grab a knife. I rushed back to the bedroom, eyes glued to the monitor, hands shaking as I stumbled through a 911 call. Then I called Ethan. His voice was low and hoarse, thick with sleep. What's wrong? I said. Someone's trying to break in. There was a pause on the other end, then the faint rustling of sheets as he got out of bed. He sounded fully awake now. How many people outside? Are they armed? I saw 2, didn't see any weapons, but they might have something. He steadied his voice. Don't cry. Lock yourself in your room and stay put. Suddenly, the surveillance camera went black. The front door creaked open. Footsteps entered the living room, coming closer. Someone started pushing at the bedroom door. I gripped the knife, debating whether I should charge out first. The adrenaline made it hard to stand. Even holding the knife felt wrong. I couldn't seem to get a proper grip or imagine swinging it. Then, chaos outside. Thuds, curses, screams of pain, glass shattering, objects crashing. Ethan? I'm here. His voice was hoarse, breathless. Stay inside. Just a moment. I wiped the sweat from my face. Collapsed at the edge of the bed. Drained. Then came a knock. I pushed away the things blocking the door. The living room was wrecked. One of the intruders was lying half-conscious on the floor, dragged out by the ankle like a dead animal. Ethan wiped the blood from his knuckles and pulled me into his arms. His coat was still cold, but his body radiated heat, blending with the smoky scent of tobacco. He held me tight, lowered his head and kissed my hair. A few of his men coughed awkwardly behind him. Boss, what should we do with them? Check if they've got priors. Let's make sure they rot in prison a few more years. Ethan stroked the back of my head, voice calm, buried against his shoulder. I mumbled. They're your friends? Coming out so late like this? I need to buy them dinner sometime. It's fine, he said. Get some rest. I'll stay here with you tonight. The police arrived. Ethan lit a cigarette and coaxed me back into the room. The murmur of conversation didn't last long. Later, he slid into bed and wrapped himself around me from behind. I was still trembling. "You're safe now," he whispered. "This won't happen again." I turned around and kissed him urgently. Ethan froze for a second. He was usually very straightforward in bed. I was used to him unbuckling his belt, pressing my nape, entering without hesitation. But that night, he was strangely gentle. He only held my wrists, looped them behind his neck, then flipped me under him and kissed me back. Autumn winds howled outside. His body radiated heat. When he cupped my face in his palm, I felt deeply, genuinely loved. But that memory had been chewed over too many times, like sugarcane fiber. Sweet long gone, when I sat across from him, talking cold hard deals. I couldn't fool myself with that diluted sweetness anymore. Maybe he loved me the way someone loves a beautiful pet. Even if he didn't play with it himself, no one else was allowed to touch. That was all. Work ended. It was Friday. My resignation email had been sent. The soonest I'd hear back would be Monday. I started cleaning out my desk, slowly erasing traces of myself. I hadn't expected it. Leo called on Sunday night. He must have just landed. There was background noise from the airport. "Amelia, what exactly are the personal reasons in your resignation?" "Boss, I'm 29. Time to settle down." He paused for a few seconds. "You're not quitting just because I tried setting you up with my brother, right? Don't overthink it. It's not that." I replied. "I actually met someone through a blind date. He seems like a good match. I was planning to resign around now anyway." "What's his background?" "Nothing special. He's an associate professor at a university." "I see. All right then. Do a good job your last 30 days. I'll give you a bonus as a wedding gift." "Thank you, boss." "One more thing," he said. "Pick out a gift for a little girl. You're coming with me to Beijing next Friday." "Little girl?" I froze for a second. All right. Chapter 4. It was my first time entering the old family estate. The main hall buzzed with cheerful chatter. The servants moved around deftly, refilling tea and snacks. I carried the gift box, following closely behind Leo. All eyes immediately swept past Leo and landed on me. His fiancée's gaze was burning. "And who's this?" She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes, staring me down. Leo casually squeezed in beside the old lady, completely unfazed. "Just a secretary. I asked her to pick out a gift for Sophia. She's only here to drop it off." The crowd visibly relaxed. I bowed politely several times and handed the gift box to a servant. "Boss, I'll take my leave then." He lifted his hand dismissively. Just as I turned to go, I locked eyes, unexpectedly, with a little girl standing on the staircase. She looked about 5 or 6. Wearing a wine-red plaid cape dress, hopping along the curved staircase. Behind her stood a man, eyes lowered, no jacket, just a shirt with sleeve garters clipped to his biceps. His sleeves were half-rolled, revealing lean, strong forearms. With 2 fingers, he gently tugged at her collar, keeping her steady. Something inside me shivered. The girl stared back at me. Then, suddenly, she jumped down the stairs and ran straight toward me. On the couch, the old lady opened her arms with a beaming smile. "Come here, Sophia. Come to Grandma." I stared at her, frozen. "Sophia. She's Sophia." I quickly averted my eyes, forced my expression into something neutral, and turned to leave. But a pair of little arms wrapped tightly around my leg. Her hands were warm. She clung to my leg like a soft, heavy ornament. She tilted her head up, looked at me with certainty, and called out, "Mommy." The room fell silent. Instinctively, I lifted my gaze toward the man by the stairs. Ethan had lost weight. The youthful fullness in his face was fading. His skin clung tighter to his features, revealing sharp, cold bones beneath. He stared at me for a long moment, then lowered his eyes. A smile replaced his expression as he stepped forward. He crouched slightly and gently pried the girl's hands from my leg. He didn't dare use force. Sophia, still clinging to me, was peeled away, only to latch back on like an octopus. "Sophia." Ethan's voice turned stern. "Be good. Don't bother the lady." Sophia hesitated, then said again, "Mommy." On the sofa, Leo nearly popped his eyes out. Ethan's face darkened. Without a word, he scooped her up. "Apologies," he said steadily, holding the girl with one arm. She's never met her mother. It's easy for her to make mistakes. I finally came to myself and nodded. It's fine, I understand. God. That scared me. Leo exhaled dramatically, clutching his chest. Bro, your kid nearly gave me a heart attack. I thought I'd been calling my sister-in-law secretary for 3 years. Laughter rippled through the room. Ethan glanced at the gift box I'd brought. Miss. He stopped me. She likes you. Take the gift and play with her a while, if you don't mind. I looked toward Leo. He waved his hand. Go on. I sighed inwardly, picked up the gift again and followed Ethan. The corridor was silent. Sunlight filtered through the paneled windows, falling in broken fragments on the carpet. Dust floated like diamonds in the light. Sophia lay quietly on Ethan's shoulder, staring at me. You're planning to resign? Ethan asked. I nodded. There's no severance if you resign voluntarily. I know. After all these years working your way up, you're walking away from the money just for pride? It's not that, I said. He stopped walking, turned slightly to look at me, one arm still holding the child, muscles flexing under the weight. Then why resign? This job isn't busy, but I have to be on call 24/7. I want to make more time for family. His fingers curled, tendons shifted slightly beneath the skin. For family. He repeated it flatly, then continued walking. Are you dating? Yes. Bring him around. Let me vet him for you. That's not necessary. I smiled. He's just an ordinary guy, not someone who'd impress you. He shot back. And ordinary guys impress you? You didn't tell me you were a prince when we were together either. That silenced him. The corridor turned a few times. He knelt to set the girl down and pointed to the indoor playroom. Daddy has something to do. Go play for a bit. All right? Sophia picked up her toy box and walked away, glancing back at every step. Silence returned to the hallway. The early autumn air was cool, but the sunlight was perfect. Ethan leaned against the window and took out a cigarette. He fumbled through his slacks several times, irritation lining his brow. I pulled out a lighter and cupped the flame, lighting it for him. In the rising smoke, he paused, momentarily dazed. When did you learn to smoke? I don't, I replied. Leo always loses his lighters. I carry one for emergencies. I stepped back, keeping a respectful 3-foot distance. Amelia, he suddenly called out to me. I've always wondered why you left so decisively back then. Was it just because I lied to you about my background? There were many reasons. Seeing him with another girl at the mall was just the spark. What truly broke me wasn't the cheating. It was the realization that he may have never cared about me in the first place. On our 2nd anniversary, I took 3,500 yuan from my savings. I bought Ethan a tie. I hesitated for a long time. Spending over 3,000 on a tie felt absurd for me. But a tailored suit wasn't good enough. A watch felt cheap. A belt or razor, too generic. I kept thinking, what's something that could stay with him for years? He wore suits a lot, so a good tie could be used on many occasions. I gritted my teeth and bought it, carefully boxed it up, heart full of anticipation, and gave it to him. Ethan said he loved it. That night, he used it to tie my wrists, tight but not painful. After that, I never saw him wear it again. The tie, still in its box, was casually tossed on a liquor shelf. He kept wearing his own. I told myself, maybe he just didn't have any important events. After all, a 3,000 yuan tie wasn't necessary for daily work. He might as well have been poor. The moment I found out his true identity, I felt relieved. He didn't like my gift because it wasn't good enough. Not because my taste didn't suit his. Makes sense. With his wealth. If he wore a tie I gave him to a gala, people might wonder if he'd gone bankrupt. But he could have pretended. Just fake it a little, for my sake. It hurt that he didn't even bother. And the night someone tried to break into my place, if the roles were reversed, if he were the one being stalked and almost broken into, I'd give him money. I'd help him move somewhere safer, better, even if I didn't have much saved. Giving him 800 or 1,000 a month wouldn't be a problem. But he didn't. Not a word about helping. He only told me, it won't happen again. Don't worry. But will it happen again? Who can say? I wish he had been broke. If he couldn't help me, That would have made sense. But he wasn't. He had power, wealth, everything. He could throw around hundreds of thousands buying bags to impress girls at the mall, but wouldn't spend a dime on me. How else could I feel? I could only admit I failed. 2 years together, and I never earned even a shred of his love. Ethan crushed the cigarette hard. The more he listened, the colder his expression became. So, I didn't wear the expensive tie you bought. Didn't give you money to move, basically. You think you spent your money on me and didn't get a return. You're blaming me for not giving enough back materially. I asked. You seem really offended when I talk about money. Heh. He let out a cold laugh. Who wouldn't be? I said quietly. I was poor, Ethan. Money was my sincerity. I've got plenty of money. Does giving it to someone mean I love them? With someone like you, giving money may not prove love. I said, but not giving it definitely means you don't think she's worth it. His mocking smile froze on his lips. He stared at me for several seconds, his throat moving slightly. I never saw it that way. It's fine. I shook my head. It doesn't matter anymore. I nodded slightly and turned to leave. He rushed forward and grabbed my wrist. Hard. It hurt. His breath was heavy. He opened his mouth several times but couldn't seem to get the words out. Stay. I'll give you whatever you want. I just want someone who's right for me. Sophia stood at the doorway, hugging her stuffed doll, watching us. I gently pulled my arm free. Don't let the child see something like this. His hand hovered midair, veins tense, knuckles white. Only when I walked far enough away did he slowly let go. Sophia hesitated, clinging to his pant leg. Daddy? Yeah. Was that Mommy? Yes. But other kids' moms, they hold them. Why doesn't Mommy, to me? She seemed to struggle with the words. Ethan held her close, smoothing her braids. Because Mommy has her own thoughts. When others are around, you have to call her auntie, okay? Okay. Chapter 5. There were still 2 weeks left before my handover at work would be complete. Leo had stopped assigning me new tasks. After being so busy for so long, the sudden emptiness felt unsettling. I was updating my resume while maintaining contact with my blind dates. Ryan was the one I felt most satisfied with. He was a university lecturer, specializing in physics. Years of teaching difficult students had shaped a gentle temper in him. He was 3 or 4 years older than me. He'd been married once, his wife had passed away. Since it wasn't his first marriage, he didn't mind that I had a child. We had dinner plans tonight. I was sending out resumes from my desk and chatting with an HR rep until the end of the workday. The moment the clock passed 6, I grabbed my bag and got up. As I stepped out of the office building, I spotted Ryan from afar, standing beneath a tree with flowers in his arms. He didn't move when he saw me, tightening my coat. I called out, "Why are you standing so far away?" "Didn't want your coworkers to see me. In case you didn't want them to know." He handed me the bouquet and asked, "The restaurant isn't far. Want to walk a bit? The view by the river's pretty nice." It really was. Waterbirds scattered, circling above the islets, breathing in the chilly evening air. The walk felt pleasant. Ryan kept glancing back with a slight frown. I followed his gaze. "What is it?" "Feels like someone's watching us," he joked. "Maybe someone wants your WeChat." Everything behind us looked normal. I reassured him. "I didn't notice anything. I'm usually sensitive to being followed." "It's probably nothing." Ryan nodded. "We're almost there. Let's cross." He loosely curled an arm behind me and began telling me amusing things from his university. It was rush hour, cars moving nonstop. Suddenly, he jerked sideways with a muffled groan. He bumped into me, making me stumble a few steps. A motor scooter crashed right in front of us. Several lean young guys got up from the ground, brushed themselves off, and took off with the scooter in a flash. Ryan clutched his arm, slightly hunched. He'd been hit. Snapping out of it, I helped him over to the roadside to sit. "Don't move. You might have hurt a bone. We need to go to the hospital." All the taxis were full. Thankfully, I found a nearby rideshare. His face was pale, beads of sweat on his forehead. "Could you hold my hand?" I called traffic police while crouching down to wipe his sweat. He leaned his head on my shoulder and took a deep breath. The registration didn't take too long. After a CT scan, They confirmed his left elbow was dislocated. They reset the joint right away, but he'd need to wear a cast for several weeks. My mood was heavy. Ryan gave a helpless smile. I'm not dead yet, but I won't be able to walk you home tonight. I'll take you home instead. I said, I'll make dinner. He paused slightly, then nodded with hesitation. Ryan lived in a residential complex for university staff. The apartment was spacious, neat, and minimalistic, even though it was his own place. He looked stiff and awkward watching me bustle around. Dinner was simple, no matter what. He wouldn't let me do the dishes. We talked until late into the night before he finally walked me out. Being with someone like him felt easy. Decent social status, stable job, working in the system. Even if we had conflicts after marriage, he'd think twice before creating drama. As I walked toward the parking lot, I weighed things silently in my mind. I didn't notice the shadowy figure in the black car nearby, watching. Chapter 6. The next day, I went to work as usual. Life had gotten busier than before. Ryan had his leg in a cast and could only order food online. Every day, I brought him a meal and checked on his injury. 6 days left until my resignation. I overheard from other colleagues. The headquarters in Beijing had sent someone over for a 3-day inspection. Ethan was here, too. Sure enough, I'd been pushed to the sidelines. I was the last to know. I was helping the new secretary with the final handover. A little absent-minded. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Come to the VIP lounge on the 43rd floor, or I'll come to you. Ethan. The new secretary looked at me hesitantly. Hey, if you're busy, I can come back later? Sorry, I have something to deal with. Look over these first. I handed her the compiled work records, all neatly organized. The 43rd floor lounge. He was here, though I wasn't sure if Sophia was, too. I shook off that flicker of longing. We hadn't even seen each other that many times. The elevator dinged to a stop. No one was there. I knocked on the door, heart uneasy. It opened a crack immediately. The lights were off. I stepped inside, feeling along the wall for a switch. Suddenly, an arm wrapped around my waist and pulled me into an embrace, pinning me against the door. My cheek pressed against the cold surface. The breath behind me was hot and erratic, reeking of alcohol. He spun me around, struggling to stay steady. I raised my arm to block him, putting a fist's distance between us. That seemed to provoke him. He grabbed both my wrists, raised them above my head. My blouse was tugged loose, slipping from beneath my skirt. His hand slid in effortlessly, wrapping around my waist. His palm was burning. His kisses were messy, uncoordinated. I turned my head, gasping for air. He let go for a moment. Just as I caught a few breaths, he kissed me again. In the dark, we were both out of breath. His voice was hoarse. Who have you been seeing lately? That question, he must have known I'd been going to Ryan's place. The first thing that flashed in my mind was that car accident, not serious, but not minor either. You followed me? I clawed my thoughts out of the haze of oxygen deprivation. Was Ryan's injury your doing? His hand on my waist suddenly tensed. He froze, swallowing hard. I didn't, he said. You think I did that? I fell silent. The words had slipped. I immediately regretted them. Ethan wasn't that kind of person. You'd suspect me over him? He gets a minor injury and you're that worried? Holding his hand to comfort him, wiping his sweat, letting him lean on your waist, visiting him for a whole week. Amelia, you used to do all that only for me. He took several shaky breaths, his voice cracking with emotion. And now you think I'd hurt someone? Have I ever done something like that? If I really made a move, no man around you would be left standing. He was too close. When his tear hit my cheek, it still carried the warmth from beneath his eyes. Ethan could hold his liquor, but when he drank, it always showed on his face. Drink a little more, and he started becoming clingy and irrational. I braced myself against his shoulder, trying to calm my pounding heart. My voice trembled beyond my control. You know that was in the past. I said it slowly, word by word. He's someone I'm seriously considering marrying now. Is it wrong for me to take care of him? His knuckles cracked. He clenched his jaw, breathing heavily and unevenly, as if the alcohol had short-circuited his logic. He muttered again and again. You used to only be good to me. I gathered myself and pushed him away, then turned on the lights. One by one, the lamps lit up. Light flooded the entire suite. He staggered back from my push, landing on the sofa with his body tilted backward. His shirt was partly undone, buttons misaligned. The leather cuffs hugged his arms tightly. One leg curled up lazily. There was nothing hiding his mess. I'm not just good to you, I said. I'm good to my partner, understand? I looked at him. Compared to his disheveled state, I felt like I was standing above it all. Ethan, there's nothing between us anymore. He stared at me in silence. Neither of us spoke. I looked away. Get some rest, and don't drink so much next time. I'm leaving. Just as I turned to open the door, he croaked out, voice rough and shaky. Amelia, happy birthday. It felt like something tore open in my chest. I froze in place. Countless images flooded my mind. None of them clear, but all of them painfully familiar. A 2-year relationship, ended like falling off a cliff. I would have preferred it had we simply grown apart over time. That would have made it easier to forget, to move on. But there was also a child. When I was pregnant, I didn't want to see him. He respected that and stayed away. But I knew he'd been around. At first, his massage skills were terrible. After he touched my swollen legs, they hurt even more. But as my belly grew, so did his technique. By the 7th month, he was applying stretch mark cream for me. One night, I woke up, and I knew the baby had kicked him. Ethan sat beside the bed, red-eyed and helpless, frozen for a long time. I hated myself for being soft. It was just happy birthday. Just that. Why did it bring back so much? I slowly crouched down, covering my face. Footsteps approached. Quiet. He knelt down behind me, and wrapped his arms around me from behind. Ethan, I whispered, just this once. I helped him back to the bedroom. One by one, I unbuttoned his shirt. His eyes were rimmed with thin red veins. Exhausted. Guilty. Do you want to do it? His voice was still hoarse. He pressed his hand over mine, stopping me. Not now. I can't get it up. My fist clenched and loosened. I took a deep breath. I was going to wipe you down, but if you'd rather sleep in your own sweat and liquor, be my guest. Oh, he sounded disappointed and obediently withdrew his hand, laid on his back, letting me clean him up. Amelia, speak. The things you're upset about. I can explain. I remembered later, those days before we broke up. I went to the mall with the daughter of a family friend. You probably saw us. My family was trying to set us up, but we were too close. Knew each other too well. There was no spark. After that, we went home and told our families it wasn't going to work. About the break-in, you thought I didn't care about your safety. I did think about moving you somewhere safer, but I couldn't find a suitable place. If it was too upscale, you'd grow suspicious. I didn't want you to know about my background. So instead, I arranged for 2 people to move in, one upstairs, one downstairs. It wasn't that I didn't care. And about that tie. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how hard you worked for that money. I didn't respond. Instead, I pressed gently on the bruise on his arm. This one's big. How'd you get it? He kept his eyes shut. Whether avoiding the question or already asleep, I didn't know. I sat there for a long time, then quietly fixed my hair and dress, and headed downstairs. Chapter 7. The secretary room buzzed quietly with work. A colleague spotted me and waved me over. Amelia, the boss came by looking for you. Asked you to go see him when you got back. Did he say why? Nope. All right, thanks. I grabbed my makeup pouch and ducked into the restroom. Only after making sure I looked completely normal did I head toward Leo's office. Before I even reached the door, I heard someone trying to calm a child. I knocked gently on the half-open door. Leo looked up, frazzled, and let out a massive sigh of relief. Finally! You're here. I can't deal with this one. Sophia ran over and wrapped her arms around my leg. Every muscle in me stiffened, a chill creeping down my spine. Leo adjusted his suit. See? She listens to you. I stood stiffly. Boss, I've never taken care of a child before. Relax. She's getting her homework soon. She's 4, and already has homework? Leo stared at me in disbelief. He said, "Why don't you read her a story first?" Read a story? Wait, don't kids like fairy tales anymore? Why is this book full of geography terms and industry jargon? I was drenched in sweat after just 10 minutes of reading. Sophia kept rolling around on my lap. Eventually, the nanny rushed in and saved me, bribing her away with homework. I was exhausted. "Boss, I'll get going now." "Wait a sec." Leo watched the nanny and Sophia walk away. He closed the door, hesitated. "Don't call me boss anymore," he said. "You're Sophia's mom, aren't you?" I looked at him and said nothing. "You don't have to answer. I figured it out." He rubbed his forehead hard. "I was so dumb. Didn't even notice the mole on her neck looks exactly like yours. If you spend your days staring at your female employees' necks, that's a real problem." Leo pulled out a cigar, patting his pockets. I casually took out a lighter and lit it for him. He jumped off the couch. "No, no, no. Let me do it." He walked to the window and cracked it open halfway. "My brother already came to see you. What are you planning to do?" "Let things happen naturally." "Pfft, after you left that day." He dragged me into the garden and got eaten alive by mosquitoes. Rambling for hours about how good you were to him. Said he hid his wealth because he didn't want you to get distracted. I told him, if Amelia were in it for the money, she'd be long gone. All you've got going for you is a decent face. Nowadays it costs millions just to keep an internet influencer, and you can't even spend a dime on a good woman? Serves you right she dumped you. He beat me up for that, but I swear, he's never had anyone on the side. Ever since Sophia came along, the family stopped trying to set him up. He's been busy with her. No time for flirting. I changed the subject. He's got a bruise on his hand. You know how that happened? Leo frowned, thinking, oh, that. He sounded casual. He spent a few days delivering food recently. 3 cars were tailing him. Still ended up in a minor accident. I thought I'd misheard. Took a long moment to process it. No, nothing in my vocabulary sounds like delivery but means something else. Don't people in your circle laugh at him? Pfft, who'd dare? Leo snorted, squinting as he flicked ash. You know how he is. He never does anything without testing it himself first. That delivery stunt? It freaked out some CEOs. They invited us to dinners, trying to figure out if our family's planning to enter the industry. And you know what? The delivery sector really does cover a lot. It might be worth getting into. I nodded, but said nothing. He crushed out the cigar, looked at me. You still planning to quit? Work outside won't necessarily be easier. No worries. Thanks to you. I'm making it as a content creator. He straightened up. What do you mean? I've been posting videos, a day in the life of a corporate secretary. Got quite a few followers thanks to company gossip. Amelia, even if you were my sister-in-law, I'd still roast you. Go ahead. Not like you can fire me anymore. I checked the time. It's the end of my shift. You carry on. A lot of things were wrapping up. Like my desk, already clean and empty. Like my relationship with Ethan, it was time for a final decision. I went home and made dinner. As usual, I packed an extra portion and brought it to Ryan. His cast was expected to come off in 3 days. You always look so grim when you're here. None of this is your fault. You know. He opened the thermos, poured me a cup of tea. I searched for the right words, not knowing how to begin. After all this time, we should have been talking about marriage, but to back out now felt like I'd wasted his time. Ryan spoke before I could. I know. He said, don't worry, we're just not right for each other. I rubbed my forehead. I'm sorry. He smiled. Your ex came to see me. I immediately looked up. Don't worry, he just talked a bit about your past. If not for you, I'd have never met him. His stocks made me a lot of money. He sipped the soup and teased. You've got talent, looks, and savings. Your only flaw is that you've had a child. But then again, your ex is Ethan. That changes things. I've been married before. I know where I stand. I'm not confident I can replace Ethan in your heart. And you two share a child. Ending this blind date is the right call, for both of us. I finally relaxed, grateful he spared me the words of rejection. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. I'll help however I can. Thanks, he said. But Mr. Ethan has already taken care of it. Ryan walked me to the stairwell. His silhouette gradually faded behind me. I turned on some music and drove home. Chapter 8. The headquarters inspection ended. So did my resignation process. The job market outside looked grim. Luckily, I had my content account as backup, so I wasn't planning to find another job anytime soon. While memories were still fresh, I compiled all the weird and wonderful stories from the company into raw material, shot them, edited them, spent 2 months at home, and finally turned it into a snarky video series. Ethan kept showing up, bringing the kid in bags full of toys. He'd come in without saying a word, playing not far from where my desk used to be. He'd crash in the guest room for a few days, then leave just as quietly. It had been 10 days since I'd last seen him. Winter was settling in. While tidying up, I stepped on a rubber duck, one of Sophia's toys. I sat on the floor and rolled it in my hands for a long time. Couldn't help it, called Ethan. Busy lately? There was a pause on the other end. A few seconds of silence. Then, do you want to see me? I said. The chill. I'll be there tomorrow. The call ended. I changed out seasonal clothes, cleaned out the closet, tons of stuff to throw away, put my phone down and kept organizing. By the time I finished cleaning, it was almost 10 p.m. Early winter. The chill had started to creep in. The heater wasn't on yet, but the later it got, the hotter I felt in bed. I jolted awake, aware of an unfamiliar warmth beside me. Tried to move away, but his arms only tightened. His lips trailed damp kisses along my neck. Amelia, wish me a happy new year. You're crazy, I murmured. It's only November. What's your rush? You haven't said it to me in 4 years. I turned my face away, trying to slip out of his hold. Suddenly, his hips pressed forward, deliberate, intense. Heat flushed all the way to my scalp. I flipped over and bit his shoulder. You said you'd be here tomorrow. I couldn't wait. The kid's coming tomorrow. He slid his arm under my back, pulled me in with a firm hook, gripped my chin, swallowed my tongue with a deep kiss. Let's get back together. He was panting, gently tightening his grip on my hand. Sophia really misses you. I need to think about it. He jumped in quickly. Then take her to the park. She wants to play with her mom just once. I replied. There's a new amusement park in South City with lots of family attractions. He lowered his head, then buried his face in my chest and, like a wild dog, tore open my nightgown, which directly caused us to be 2 hours late picking up the child from the airport. By the time we met up, the nanny van had already entered the city. Sophia wore a gloomy expression and said nothing. Ethan rubbed his nose and reached out to hold her. Sweetie, Daddy will redo your braids. Make them extra pretty, and then we'll go have fun, okay? She turned her head away. Don't be mad. Daddy had to beg Mommy for a long time. That's why we were late. She stayed silent. Ethan quickly raised the stakes. Mommy promised to play with you the whole day. I said. I never said that. Sophia lost it. She burst into tears, completely catching me off guard. Ethan hurriedly carried her away, red-faced, trying to soothe her. Daddy won't be late again. Okay, okay, okay. You have to promise me 1, no, 3 conditions. Anything you want, anything. I rubbed my temples. He just signed a deal that even Li Hongzhang wouldn't have dared to sign back in the day. Respiraba con dificultad. Apretando suavemente mi mano. Sofía te extraña mucho. Tengo que pensarlo. LSE adelanto enseguida, entonces la vala al parque. Solo quiero jugar una vez con su mamá. Respondí. Hay un parque de atracciones nuevo en la zona sur con muchas actividades familiares. Agacho la cabeza. Luego hundió la cara en mi pecho y, como un perro salvaje, desgarró mi camisón. Eso hizo que llegáramos 2 horas tarde recoger a la niña en el aeropuerto. Cuando finalmente nos reunimos, la furgoneta de la niñera había entrado en la ciudad. Sofía tenía la carita quedo y no decía ni una palabra. Ethan se frotó la nariz y extendió los brazos para abrazarla. Cariño, papá te voy a volver a hacer unas trenzas bien lindas. Y luego vamos a divertirnos. Sí? Ella giró la cabeza, ignorándolo. No te enojes. Papá tuvo que convencer a mamá durante mucho rato. Por eso llegamos tarde. Ella seguía en silencio. Ethan enseguida subió la apuesta. Mama prometio jugar contigo todo el día. Dije, yo no he dica eso. Sofía estalo. Se puso a llorar y me agarró completamente desprevenida. Ethan se la levo en brazos. Con la cara colorada. Tratando de calmarla. Papa no volverá a llegar tarde. Veil. Tienes que prometer una cosa, no. Tres cosas. Lo que quieres to do. Me frot las scenes. Acaba de firmar un acuerdo que en el hongjiang se habría atrevido a firmar en su época. After much coaxing, we finally managed to get her to the amusement park. Ethan looked exhausted. His eyes blank and unfocused. A cotton candy stick appeared in front of me. Sophia, still wiping her eyes, held it up high. For mommy. I crouched down a little, hesitating for a moment. I tried to pick her up. You wouldn't guess from her size, she's surprisingly heavy. Ethan quickly stepped in. You can't just lift her like that. I'm done. She's too heavy. Go get me something to drink. He whispered. Don't let her hear that, she'll throw a fit. I fell silent immediately. Ethan went to line up for drinks. I held Sophia's hand and sat with her on a bench under a tree. Why did you know I was mommy the moment you saw me? The moment? It wasn't the first time, she said, waving her hands. Daddy has lots of pictures of you. He shows me every day. And we came here once too. Daddy said it was a secret, that we couldn't bother mommy. I couldn't help a small smile. When did you come? When I was little. I don't remember when. And weren't you mad that mommy wasn't with you? She looked at me, swinging her legs, and thought for a long while. A little bit. But I love you. Ethan walked over with a paper bag and handed me a cup. He was just about to speak when he saw my expression and paused. What's wrong? I grabbed his sleeve and wiped my eyes. Nothing. Let's go. There's still a lot left to do. He looked at me for a moment, then took my gloved fingers and kissed my knuckles. Sophia burst into laughter in front of a costumed mascot. In that moment, happiness felt so close. I said, getting back together might not be such a bad idea.